This bull build is able to pull out 2800 DPS without even having the best in slot items. So all of us, as we go through Remnant 2, the first time we loot a bull, we think to ourselves, is this a good weapon? And in this video right here, we'll show you exactly how to make it do thousands of DPS with it, so let's get right into it. Starting off with the bow, of course. Pick the bow of your choosing. I mostly went with the Sagittarius as it shoots a tiny bit faster than the other bows, which made the boss fights just a tiny bit easier, and that's what I ended up going with. Now as for the Mutator, most builds will recommend you use Momentum, but I'll have to disagree here. Momentum is indeed an amazing Mutator and it stacks up an insane amount of damage. But in the real world, or that is, in the Apocalypse boss fights, I found the Supercharger to be a much better choice, as it allows me to fire much faster and felt much more comfortable to fire in between boss mechanics. Whereas the Momentum constantly had me feeling like I had to keep on firing or else I would be missing out on the Mutator, causing me to make a lot of unnecessary mistakes when taking on Apocalypse fights. So you pick what you like, but personally I opt in for the Supercharger 9 out of 10 times. As for the secondary, I almost always use the Nebula, but for the sake of this video's damage only coming from the bow, I just opted in for a random combination. But here's where it can get tricky. You're oftentimes recommended to use a secondary with the Twisting Wounds Mutator and equip the Abrasive Whetstone Amulet to maximize your DPS as hard as you possibly can. But once again, I didn't opt in for this choice for the same reason I didn't opt in for the Momentum Mutator on the bow. These two choices would lead me to constantly be worried about whether I had a bleed uptime on the boss instead of just focusing on the mechanics of the fight. And so to make it a little bit easier on myself and play it a little bit more defensively, I went for the Ankh of Power Amulet, which gives me a flat 15% damage increase, and that kept me comfortable without having to set up too much before dishing out damage. Now once again, this is up to you. To maximize DPS, you'll want the Abrasive Whetstone and the Twisting Wounds Mutator, but if you want to play a little bit safer, just go with my build. Now as for the rings, I find 3 rings to be key to this build, and the 4th one being rather flexible. The 3 key rings being the Xania's Malice, Probability Cord, and the Archer's Crest. As for the 4th ring, it's extremely flexible. Pick based on your needs and whatever you want. Personally, I went for the Heart of Wolf to make dodging boss mechanics a lot easier. And as for traits, I use my typical Gunslinger Hunter build, which is the one you see here on your screen. And now, to use this build, you'll require a little bit of practice and a decent aim, as it's a lot more unforgiving than most ranged builds. So I recommend putting it on, grinding with it a little bit, and you'll pick it up on it fairly quickly. Now, enjoy the rest of the videos guys, peace out.